Professor Brian Copeland, Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, and Chairman of the Board of UWI-ROYTEC. Members of the Board of Directors, UWI-ROYTEC. Dr. Ronald Brunton, Director, Academic Services. Dr. Daniel Kirk, Dean, College of Education, Winona State University, and feature speaker. Dr. Eduardo Ali, Executive Director, Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Susan Worrell, Events Manager, National Lotteries Control Board. Mr. Jacinto Martinez, Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Sagicor Life Incorporated. Esteemed panel of judges, management, staff, students, and faculty of UWI-ROYTEC, specially invited guests, members of the viewing public, good night, and welcome to UWI-ROYTEC and to the inaugural biennial Exceptional Teaching Awards held under the patronage of the Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, and Chairman of the Board of UWI-ROYTEC, Professor Brian Copeland. Welcome to members of the Board of Directors, whose stewardship is integral to the institution's strong governance structure and maintenance of the institution's continued standing within an international quality paradigm. UWI-ROYTEC is honored to have Dr. Daniel Kirk, who, without hesitation, accepted our invitation to be the feature speaker at our celebration. Dr. Kirk is now, like so many other higher education professionals, an official member of the UWI-ROYTEC family. Special recognition goes out as well to Dr. Eduardo Ali, Executive Director of the ACTT. Dr. Ali's focus on transformational change in post-secondary and tertiary education sector development and his current leadership role at the ACTT will augur well for the education sector. UWI-ROYTEC is eagerly anticipating sector development and readying itself for institutional strengthening. A special welcome to our sponsors in the NLCB and Sagicor. Both institutions share long-term relationships with UWI-ROYTEC and are committed to the support of quality teaching. Their contributions go beyond finance and have come at a time when corporate Trinidad and Tobago is more constrained to contribute, as all are experiencing the economic impact of a pandemic. For that, I wish to place their support on the institution's record. Tonight is a very special night for the institution and is only possible because of a shared vision of the importance of quality teaching to good education. As we celebrate, we acknowledge that we have had a tough year. The world has had a tough year. The pandemic has defied every management and organization system. And while the vaccine brings hope for a better tomorrow, that hope must be accompanied by a readiness for the inevitable transformation of education. The stress and chaos of the immediate past and present will fashion a long overdue and welcome rebirth of our education system. The pandemic has been a great leveler, in a way, giving all stakeholders, educators, learners, policymakers, and society at large in developed and developing countries a better understanding as our current education system's vulnerabilities and shortcomings. It has underscored how indispensable it is for our populations to be digitally literate to function and progress in a world in which social distancing, greater digitalization of services, and more digitally centered communications may increasingly become the norm. We have come to understand that innovation is more important than tradition, and that whatever models of education emerge, they need to provide value for money and be affordable, functional, and cater to the emotional needs of students. It is fitting that our celebration of faculty is taking place in the month of March. At this very time last year, all educational institutions in Trinidad and Tobago were closed due to the pandemic. 1 year later, not only have we survived, but we have good reason to celebrate our education frontliners, the faculty of UWI-ROYTEC. It is my considered view that our ability to manage and survive the challenges of this pandemic is tied to quality teaching, agility, resilience, exceptional student support, and the ability to place empathy before profit. Tonight's Exceptional Teaching Awards is taking place against a background of a highly anticipated and inevitable educational transformation which will occur globally. This makes tonight a defining moment for the institution as the Exceptional Teaching Awards attempts to position quality teaching as a driving force in the movement for transformation and change. And so, the awards ceremony is less of an event and more of a setting of standards for teaching and a recognition of those who meet and exceed those standards. It is the institution's endorsement of teaching excellence. It is not only a celebration of 9, although the finalists have proved themselves to be exemplary. It is a celebration of all UWI-ROYTEC faculty and all teachers along the education continuum. And I say this because while we value and promote quality teaching at UWI-ROYTEC, we cannot deny or ignore the broader teaching fraternity of Trinidad and Tobago and the yeoman service provided to students in an unprecedented and chaotic time. The nature, scope, and sameness of the challenges education systems face globally would not allow for a recognition lens that is narrow or individualistic. And so, we see and celebrate all our teacher heroes. We can never say thank you long enough, sincerely enough, or loudly enough to teachers. I say this without fear of contradiction. I say this as a grandparent, eagerly awaiting the opening of school, as my granddaughter has had enough of me. She once missed to teach her. As a former teacher myself, I take pride in belonging to a fraternity, in recognizing the vocation of teaching and reminding that quality teaching remains the single most important component to successful education, no matter what the context and no matter what the tools. I do not envy the politicians and policymakers tasked with transformation and the need to explore and entertain the many and varied approaches to shaping our education future. I do hope that as that future is shaped, that teachers and educational administrators are consulted, as their lived experiences are critical to getting it right. What are the next steps? While I cannot predict the future, I do want to pose a couple questions, the answers to which might provide a glimpse of future possibilities. What will education systems look like in the future? Can the tertiary education system move from place-based to augmented virtual reality with knowledge no longer restricted by time and space, but rather available 24/7? What kinds of education hybrids might be possible? Will the age-old concept of continual learning be finally actualized so that this model that reimagines higher education as a platform for lifelong learning, where learners move in and out of a school's curriculum throughout their lives to gain and update their knowledge as needed, will this happen? How will the quality of teaching and learning be transformed to meet the changing needs of students, parents, industry, government, and other stakeholders? How can academics best adapt to emerging disruptive technologies? Can faculty become global knowledge entrepreneurs? Can graduates become highly marketable, making the world their home? The range of questions underscore one truth: that this is an exciting time that is rich in possibilities. Let us not waste it. Having pushed and been pushed to our limit, let us all work to transition toward agile, ever-evolving approaches, and let us do so with empathy and place people before profit. There is power in empathy. It leads to an engaged workforce, and that translates into a stable business even under these circumstances. While we engage in efforts to embrace change, well-being and upskilling are priority. The platforms created for open communication about COVID impact can also be evolved to idea generation and dialogue opportunities. The safe place from where trust and empathy serve the function of creating coping mechanisms can become a platform for innovation. The agility built into the system for smoother operations can lead to something more magical as it shifts mindsets and leads to lateral thinking. There is so much to do and equal opportunity to do it. As such, we should not passively await the future. Learn from the experiences of the recent past and do more than plan to embrace the future. I say, especially to the UWI-ROYTEC management, staff, and the faculty whom we celebrate tonight, let us create the future. To the faculty of UWI-ROYTEC, thank you. It is an honor to serve you and an honor to address this audience at the UWI-ROYTEC's inaugural Biennial Exceptional Teaching Awards. Good night and God bless.